Super Fantasy Kingdom. Well, hello. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. Am I correct? This may be a bit of an assumption, but are you, and I don't know how to pronounce the name. But are you the dev of the game? Feryaz. You'd like to hear my take on the religious symbols in Super Fantasy Kingdom. Some players seem to dislike Evo spots, for example. The Evo... Oh, okay, the pentagrams. It is something that I noticed and was a bit hesitant about, to be honest. Not that... I'm here playing a video game. It's pixel art. This is not going to be a major problem for my faith. However, I try to be very sensitive towards being a family-friendly channel. I want to make sure that parents who see their kids playing games, if their kid is playing a game with units that are like devils and demon factions and pentagrams, in my generation, that would have been a massive no-no. I think there's a bit of a difference here between... I don't think the focus is entirely on it. I think it might be... Like, this is kind of... It jumps out on you, right? Like, you got all this green, happy growing stuff, and then pentagram. So it certainly draws attention to itself. Maybe it doesn't have to draw quite so much attention to itself. And it could be just about anything else if you wanted it to be. I personally... I don't have a problem with it for me, but I could absolutely respect parents of young kids who would not want that imagery in their kids' game. And from a design standpoint, which I'm not a designer, from a design standpoint, you want to take all of those into account. And so I do think that's a valid concern. You know, I've in full disclosure, I played games like Diablo before. That's going to be way more. I've not played it on stream. It's not family friendly. I don't play it. But growing up, I played it. But that's definitely over the line. Whereas this is it's there. As a parent myself, like I would use this more as a conversation point. The world has a lot of misconceptions about, about how Christians themselves have a lot of misconceptions about these sorts of imagery, right? Like in the game, you have for the devil, you have like the 666 there, and I get the theme. Some people would say, well, Christians are terrified of the number and superstitious of the number, and some actually are. Like I've actually had a cash register person, like, they're giving me money back, and they didn't want to give me $6.66 because that's bad luck and all that stuff. But really, there's nothing biblical about that. Like it's entirely a different focus for a specific time, and I don't have to be superstitious about it. And that's what I'm getting at. I'm not superstitious about a pixel art game having it, but I do think it's worth being sensitive about. I'm trying to be diplomatic here, because I don't want to say you're doing something terribly wrong, and at the same time be like, but I'm going to stream it anyway. Timbo, bringing up an excellent point. Yes, so if I were to actually go to scripture, the Bible does talk about having freedom in Christ on things, and recognizing that there's going to be some who will struggle with things and some who won't. And so I'm very much on the side of, I recognize that I don't need to worry about this imagery for my own salvation, but out of sensitivity, and Paul's conclusion in this, Paul being, for those who don't know, being one of the apostles, he was the biggest, like he wrote half the New Testament. He goes and basically the missionary that starts the church all around the ancient world. And he reminds people that even though you might have that freedom in Christ to be able to make these decisions, and in their case, in their cultural situation, eat meat that was previously offered to idols, but you know that the idol is just a block of wood, it doesn't mean anything. You can eat it. But if your neighbor that you invited over to dinner used to struggle with that, used to worship idols that way by eating meat and partaking, and they see you eating it, and now you're like, in their view, worshiping the idol. that's causing a relational problem with them. And out of respect to them, and even causing them to think that you're doing wrong, out of respect to them, avoid the meat. And so for gaming, out of respect to my family-friendly, desiring people and parents and everything, I avoid many, many games. There's a lot of games that just aren't even possible for me to play because I want to respect that, even though I recognize I could play it. Might have gone off field there. It happens. I'm a pastor. So Super Fantasy is saying the pentagram had some. I'm sorry, I didn't read, and I want to make sure we have this conversation. The pentagram was just something special, had no meaning to you. You're totally fine with replacing it. I think that if you're not really worried about building a big theme around it, I think that you have more to gain by swapping it, because I don't think anyone's going to be like, it has to be a pentagram or I quit playing the game, right? But you will have some people who are like, because there's a pentagram, I'm not going to play the game. So I think it does stand to gain, but you will have, by making any change, you certainly will have people say, oh, those fundamentalist Christians are beating you over the head with this, and you shouldn't give in because they're just trying to bully you. And I don't want that to be the argument at all. I'm just saying, like, there will be some who'll just say, I'm choosing not to play because of the imagery. I'm not one of them, but I respect where they're coming from. They want to do what's right. If you do that, what's next? Remove the undead because it's dark magic. Yeah, so it's there can be a slippery slope there, but I do think of everything, and part of the reason for the pentagram in particular is because that is a direct, like, it's a used in witchcraft symbolism. And so that's why that in particular, like, we're used to seeing skeletons and zombies in just about every form of media, but we're not necessarily face to face with, like, okay, pentagrams here, pentagrams there. So I think you're still going to have a level of, even though you're right, that's a slippery slope. And Menefis, you're right about that. I do think that there will be more people who draw the line at the pentagram than at anything else. Like, I think that just stands out. Two Shot, you almost missed the stream. You were looking on YouTube. Glad you remembered as well. Yeah, you just want what's best for the game. I totally understand, totally respect that. And like I said, it may, but it might cause some people to, or parents, say, I don't want the imagery in the game for my kid or whatever. They might say that, but it also might be such an insignificant number that it might not be worth the effort on your part. I don't know. I don't have the numbers, the statistics, and I'm not also, the very fact that I'm a pastor, but I'm streaming on Twitch means I'm not one of the normal pastors, right? So I can't speak for all of Christians out there. So, but I do think that is something that, as, like, I instantly noticed and had to make a conscious choice of, am I going to be okay with it or not? And I decided I was okay with it, but I had to make that choice. I did notice it. Yeah, implementing a demon faction would, yeah, if you want to follow that trail muology, yeah, you would basically be saying, well, we need to not have the whole demon faction or whatever. Yeah, that's the where the slope leads, isn't it? That's another good point. I don't know how to pronounce this. Majunis?
Pastor Druski is my hero.
Oh my. Barthik, 25 gift subs. Thank you so much. That's huge. Thank you. I hope everyone's been enjoying the conversation, and I really appreciate you being here. Again, I want to call you Feryaz. I don't know if that's okay. Super Fantasy Kingdom. I want to continue our conversation. I do think Majun brings up a good thing about symbols being misunderstood, like upside down crosses. 100% for a Christian that knows their own history, they shouldn't have a problem with it. but culturally, it's meant to be an insult to the cross. Like it's used as one, whether we accept it as an insult or just be like, you know what? Thank you for the reminder that Peter and others were crucified upside down because they didn't feel worthy to be the same as Jesus. Like, thank you for that. But it's intended to be an insult. It's intended to be an opposite thing. Yeah, thank you so much, Barthek. And so, Feryaz, I guess while we have you, there was some discussion. Unless we can talk about it too. There was some discussion though about, given the game's popularity, is there any thought to more factions? I know roadmaps are scary because it's like, I don't know the future, I don't know where this is going. But is there a thought to DLC, more factions, pretty please? Anything like that? I think it's a great conversation, though, about the summoning thing. I do think this would be a single easy thing that doesn't have to, like, if we were to just have this, and if this was something that you had feedback maybe from a variety of sources that were all saying, yeah, that kind of was like a bit much. Like, I agree. If you're going to have a demon faction, then this is no surprise. The pentagram's no surprise. But at the same time, and by the way, if it doesn't a pentagram have to be upside down for it to really be a pentagram? Isn't this just a star that's red with a circle? I don't know. Anyway, I agree there. But if you were like, this is an easy fix. Like, that's a super easy thing to change. Like, you can still keep everything else, and that's totally fine. Like, I think that's a super easy thing if you decide to go that route. If you're getting a lot of feedback in that direction. You're working on a news about the future? No problem. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just glad to be able to share this with you. This has been a lot of fun. This run is probably not going to be number 1 because we missed a provoke or 2. But even so, I've completely lost track of what we were doing, and that's okay. That's actually very common for me. Let's go ahead and get this other monument. Coins for ghosts, thank you for the reminder. Yes, we do want that. It was never a pressing issue, but you're never totally happy with it. You'll look into it. Yeah, the evolution is not related to the Demon Kingdom. Right. This is kind of a symbol that would stick with the Demon Kingdom, and yet we're using it for literally every unit in the game as a way to evolve them. Like, it makes sense that it's a place of power, but is it that symbol for everybody? You could almost find just it doesn't even necessarily have to be a change because somebody said the symbol was bad. It could be a change because it could communicate a gameplay meaning more effectively. That this, rather than being when I was first exploring the map, I was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna like summon somebody here or something, or sacrifice somebody here. Like, I thought something was happening, a ritual. I didn't think, okay, universally all units can upgrade here. Like, that wasn't my thought when I saw the symbol. And so just from that angle, you're right. Like, just visually communicating information, you could probably have something different. Ooh, now I'm torn. I am torn here. Let's go with the desert. Because if we can I'm still early enough that I feel like I could get the money bag thing. Or the range even, right? They give the range. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for being here. I love the conversation. I know we can't get really any tidbits about the future. While you're here, could we get any tidbits about the past? How long have you worked on the game? Is it a surprise to you, the popularity of the game? Did you kind of expect any of that? How did you get hooked up with Hooded Horse? That's kind of how I discovered you, was through Hooded Horse. I'd love to know the history. Long story. You've been working on it for 4 years, full time, and it's your first game. And for anyone who doesn't know, he's the solo dev for the game as well. So if you've been enjoying the game, you need to tell him thank you, because this is a lot. 4 years full-time work. Now, I'm sure that this is something that all full-time devs have to consider, but how do you support yourself when you're doing that before you've sold a game, before you sold anything? Is that where the publisher comes in? Is that where like they provide like a paycheck in the meanwhile so you can eat? First years was on savings. Were you working with programming or anything like that prior to, or is it more of just a hobby on the side? Like, were you already going down that route? And thanks for the game. And secondly, is this some kind of Command and Conquer? So no, the game is not Command and Conquer. The game is more akin, if I do say so. So we have the dev here. We're chatting with the dev, and I'm sure he's got much better input than I would. But how I would describe it is a roguelite city building auto battler. Because you've got two focus. The roguelike implies the fact that it's different in meta progression and RNG and all of that. And then you absolutely have two facets. You got your economy and building your city, and then you're doing battle. But I call it the auto battler particularly. That means more to me because when I hear that, I'm not expecting Command and Conquer or StarCraft or Warcraft. I'm expecting something more akin to a tower defense, which is actually how I view the units very much so. I think it's easy to explain. You don't expect towers to run around and for me to action per minute, click and move them around. Towers are stationary, your units are stationary. Where you place them, how you place them, all of that matters, just like it would in a tower defense. But even though they're not visually a tower, it's gameplay-wise, I feel like very close to a tower defense in that sense. But we wouldn't call it tower defense either, so auto battler. Two Shot says he hasn't had this much fun playing a game in about 20 years. Is there a way to support you further? Great question. So Feryaz was chatting with Tim from Hooded Horse for a while, and he was helping you with some stuff. So when the demo blew up a bit, it was only natural for me to sign with them. You're very happy about that decision in hindsight. Well, I bet, because Hooded Horse is hitting grand slams left and right with their games, and the fact that like I'm not surprised at all that they were like, we're going to partner with you because this has quality and they are getting known for quality. And so even though it's a smaller project from the gamer perspective, right, an indie game and all that small, like Hooded Horse is picking, solid hits left and right. And so that's how I discovered your game. And I was like, well, if Hooded Horse is doing it, I'm going to check this thing out. And so I'm glad that you found them. Looks like Dwarf Fortress. It plays very differently, though I haven't been able to invest 20 years of my life into Dwarf Fortress to really be able to start seeing, half the content, because that's how long it takes. I barely played it at all. This is very different. Like I said, this is an auto battler part. I'm not controlling this. I do have some input. Things that don't have this purple, it means they're pinned, where you can't interact with them, you can't change their, but things that don't have that purple thing, I can swap around. So there'll be times when, this angel who's on the flank here might be getting attacked and they're wounded. So let's swap them with another unit. Like you can do a little bit during the battle, but it's nowhere close to a RTS. Even though it is real time, it's pausable real time. Are we buying Ghost? I need to, but I think I need 1 more gold. 2 more gold. Do I have the gold sitting around? Not yet. But then the problem I have with the Ghost is, where do I put him? I need to move this guy forward to tank for him, because I don't have another tank. And if I put him on the outsides, he'll die. And we're trying to go deathless. I mean, after all, this is It's probably not a run that takes number 1, but maybe we can get a new personal best. So we're trying to go deathless. Zerg did mention to Two Shot that you can always buy extra copies of the game and gift them out. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. Yeah, Nikaro, the dev was in the room, and I think he still is. Yep, there's a response. Thank you very much. Means a lot. Guess just talk about it and join the Discord and leave feedback. I really want to make it as great as it can be. And when he says leave feedback, one of the things that is being mentioned oftentimes in his updates and in the various patches and things is to leave game reviews on Steam if you've bought the game, to be able to share with others and kind of keep that going. So that's definitely a good thing to do too, is to give a review, and if you hopefully positive if you're enjoying it. I'm kind of losing track of everything again. I guess we still want to do this. I've got so much sitting around doing nothing. We can go ahead and upgrade our castle since it's running out. That's fine. I won't lose anybody. Okay, we can get the ghost. But I'm not going to put him on the field because I think he's going to die if I do. I do think we're going to give him freeze and fatigue, just because he's going to apply AoE, though we could potentially have made him a DPSer because of all this fear. So what doesn't make this a tower game with extra steps? A tower defense game. Because your units aren't towers? Probably. They also have a lot more freedom. Like, thematically, they're not towers, but you are feeding them, which I could see in theory there could be some sort of resource to maintain and power up a tower if it's electrified or whatever. You know, I could magicified your towers. I could see a resource requirement for towers. But right now, the way it is you've got to generate food, and most of the food generation, again, thematically, is very much a biological creature eating food. You know, whether you're growing it, fishing, hunting. Undead has their own way to get food, but it still seems food-like. So thematically, now all of that could be reskinned and changed to fit a tower, but I think we're getting farther and farther away of what, you know, a tower defense would be. Because usually with tower defense, you kind of have two main ways that the gameplay goes in a tower defense. One way would be if there's a path like this, like our road here, that you'd build along the path and the enemies follow the path, right? And so you'd build along that path. Just gameplay-wise, this is a common tower defense structure. Now, how that path, you know, if it's RNG, there's a lot of cool iterations on that, on the pathing. I enjoy that more than the other type. And the other type is that you have so many towers. This happened more in like the Warcraft, Starcraft days of mods. You have so many towers that you actually build a path to maze with your own towers. And so you do the zigzag thing, and I did not like those. But anyway, either way, it usually involved more of a constructing the actual maze for the enemies to go through. Whereas this feels a lot more like the enemies are actually coming at your units and there's a fight going on. It feels like your units are units, even though they're immobile like towers. Still have a ton of extra resources. I think we just need to start getting our bread up and running. And I definitely need I'm gonna need another tank. I need to have my monk out as well. We need more AoE than just the ghost will do. Clash of Clans with Civilization. I think Civilization is probably the wrong direction for the description. Civilization does have building stuff and it does have exploration, but in no way are they similar on how it actually plays out. Like I would think that would kind of give the wrong idea. The focus isn't so much on the constructing a castle to conquer other, you know, and producing stuff and conquering. It's more focused on build order. You're going to have the same buildings available to you. You don't necessarily have like a tech tree and stuff, which, by the way, might be interesting. Tech trees to upgrade different unit types. Who knows? But it's much more focused on build order, coming up with something more efficient than last time, unlocking more things than you had available to you last time, and a progression like that. And so as a result, I don't think a civilization would be accurate. But city building, a lot of times city building is kind of like that, where you want to, especially survival city builders, where you want to build in a certain order. There's some in common there. Definitely need AoE. Building cities, gathering resources. It's true. It's true. The game steps into so many genres, it gets hard to say, but tower defense is one of your favorite genres. Fair. Yeah, it absolutely is into so many genres, which is why it's so appealing. There's so much broad appeal and so much charm here, because there's so many things to like. And if you happen to just hit all of the ones that somebody likes, like, it's just, it's very addicting. That's where I'm at, is like, I love all of these genres that you're using to play with this. So wonderful. Once again, if you guys aren't familiar, the user Super Fantasy Kingdom, this is the solo dev for the game. So as we said, if you're enjoying the game, shoot him a thank you, but also maybe now's the time to ask a question or two. Probably can't reveal any plans for the future, but it might be a long story for all the past, how we got here, but tidbits would be nice, little details. Here's a good brief question. We got the Demolisher here, and I like the idea that there's a unit that will let me, I can build my base with the plan of deleting something later through the Demolisher. My problem is I think it happens a week too soon. So on the human side, about the only thing that I can build with that I would then be, consumed and use up and want to destroy, if we're not counting our builder, about the only thing would be the graveyard. I could build a graveyard, get the happiness from the graveyard, use the Demolisher to destroy the graveyard, build another graveyard, get more happiness. And I've done that. I've actually done that 2 or 3 times on purpose just to see if we could. But it's not enough happiness to make it worthwhile. On the other hand, if these two things were swapped, the builder and the Demolisher, then I could do the builder first, get the relic, if that's what I want to do, right? And then use the Demolisher to get rid of it without having to use a banish. Something like that. That's a thought I've had. But without the builder first, there's really nothing I see to demolish on the human side. I think the undead side may be the same. It's tough to say. Some conflict between undo a mistake and implement it into my build order. Yes. Like, this can be undo my mistake, for sure. Especially if you don't have access to all the slots, right? If you don't have access to all the slots, I built the thing, and it's like, oh, now I can't use it. I built a monument, but now, I need the slots. But you also can't unlock the Demolisher until you are far enough along, because he's up here, right? You can't unlock him until you're far enough along in the game that you probably have all the build slots you need. So I've never been in that position of, I made a mistake. I make mistakes a lot, but I've never been in a position where I made a mistake and now I need to actually remove the building to fix the mistake, because I have slots, I have room. You want to demolish the church. Yeah, so people are wondering why there was not like an achievement, a hidden achievement for demolishing the church or something. So, of course, you don't generate your taxes anymore. You don't get the evolution chance anymore. But if these were permanent things, then potentially you could see how, like, if I played out all the nuns, and if they were stayed, well, now you can make the church go away and have the slot, maybe. Demolishing the portal resets the cost of new units. That's what you're using it for. That's interesting. That's interesting. So the portal here, again, the downside to me comes with when the Demolisher arrives on the calendar, because I'm never going to have, somebody else might. I generally don't have the portal until like week 3 instead of week 2. And so if I build it at all. So the Demolisher is already come and gone, and yes, you could bring him back, but he's already usually come and gone. The free one has come and gone by that time. So that, to me, again, is if he was just week 3, I'd say that's really awesome. But you're also right that there's the element of undo a mistake, which I'm not thinking about. I'm thinking about build order. And undo a mistake, you kind of want it earlier, don't you? So I don't know what to tell you, but I could see both sides of it, I suppose. Yeah, and you unlock the builder much earlier. Yeah, you unlock the builder way earlier, don't you? On the current state of the game. True, but don't forget, I'm playing, and a lot of our viewers are playing where we've kind of played the whole game. Right? We've put in the hours to do the entire game and unlock everything. And one of the things you have to protect and guard is the perspective of the new player, right? You can't let the veteran player who's built everything done everything in your game to then dictate to you how to play it so they can min-max better. I'm trying to min-max here. You need to keep in mind what's best for that new player. The vast majority of people are probably not going to get this far along. So the majority of people, that first time through experience is going to be their main, that first impression. Be their main experience. So you got to protect that. What's best for them, and balance that against the elitists like me that's saying, well, I need this to min max. Is resetting the cost after demolishing an intended feature or a bug? There's a question. Yeah, first impression is lasting impression. Yeah. I know I need to get, that's what I'm waiting on, is I didn't send out my boat because we're saving up our money.
Yo ho ho.
And so I actually very much need to get my ingots here because I can't get the wood to increase. Yeah, we need to build that. The portal's intended to reset the cost. That's nice to know, because honestly, I learned that it didn't reset, and I was like, oh wow, I'm locked in on this. I had no idea I could reset it. And yeah, you've been doing an awesome job. By the way, for those who don't know as well, not only is he a solo dev, he's also been patching the game, like releasing a full patch to the game almost daily. Almost daily. I think there was one day that you actually got to go out and touch grass, right? And take a little day off, and you talked about that being like really nice, and then you went right back to it. But like, it's been awesome. You've done a whole lot for the game. We don't want you getting burned out. We don't want you getting burned out. Dungeon, thank you. So if I go ahead and send, I could send either one of these, but if I send the angel, we can then swap this guy in. Oh, that's right. That's right. The dog is named after your dog, right? That's awesome. I love it. You gotta run, Caro. Thanks for hanging out. Is Milo doing well? Good, good. How long was the game in development for? You said you were working on the game for 4 years. How long was it in development before you said the dog needs to be in it? Was this like the first thing? Was the dog the inspiration for the game? Or was this something that came in at the last minute where you're like, you know what? The king needs a friend just like I have a friend. Like, how central was the dog to the development? I'm just building up all these resources, not spending anything. I know I want to get my monk, and we've got food, but we really haven't developed all of it. Do I go ahead and do my windmill, or do I get the... Because I can get the smelter here too in just a second. I'm feeling really behind. Can't imagine why. I think I'm gonna go smelter. And if that's the case, then I think we're just gonna go ahead and get the stables up and running. How to hear on the undead side, how do heroes choose to eat a pumpkin or a soul when they both award 2 experience? Actually, this is a great question for both the humans and the undead, because the humans have the equivalent with the cooked meat and the bread. My understanding, and please tell us to be absolutely definitive, but my understanding is, doesn't the game choose the one that doesn't upgrade? So like in the human's case, the bread gets chosen over the cooked meat. And in the undead case, the pumpkins, although the pumpkins are used for multiple things. So that is a little bit more of a gray area. It's just random. Is it random both for undead and for human? Let the food mature. I mean, I guess you could say aged meat or something, because it's quite literally what's happening. Oh, our dinosaur's almost dead. Okay, all is well. Actually, our vampire's almost dead too. I needed to have my monk before now. This is what I needed. Get that rejuve. Go away! The elite guy. Leave me alone. No! No, we lost him! Ah, we lost! Ah! Fine. I mean, I wasn't spending anything for so long. We weren't playing. It's already possible to get the best food all the time. It just always upgrade. If it just upgrade, yeah, that's true. And I've been doing that here on stream already, just by with the food items that I'm running. I can pretty consistently have good meat just about every run. Rough run? No, it was a great run. I played it poorly. It was a great run. Distracted, yes. Classic dev distract. Happens all the time. No. Like this is way more preferable. Thank you. By the way, okay, can we talk a little bit about units? I have chosen to lock these ones up, and 2 of them because of the RNG nature. Now, the devil unit. Can I find him, or is he's not here because I clicked that? Okay. So this is what I want to do. He's amazing late game with a full board. but he feels really bad because if you get him anytime other than late game, and especially when because he's a tank, he feels like it should be a DPSer. He's actually a tank. Anyway, I've always feel bad playing him because it never hits anything, and of course he hits a lot of stuff when the board's full and he can't miss. But like, I don't want him rolling at the beginning of the game when every unit matters. You know, I need to get my tanks. I'm looking for something specific early game, and if he shows up early game, I can't use him. And similarly, I feel the same way about the juggler. If she shows up early, I can't use her, and so I lock her up. And then I think I just don't understand how the Colossus is supposed to work. His radius seems too small, his attack radius. You gotta work now? No problem. We don't have to. I am so glad you got to stop by. I could talk your ear off the rest of the day, and I know you can't do that. And also, you're in. Are you in Sweden, Germany? You're in Europe. No, finish. Like I said, I could talk all day. The Colossus is one of those units I was excited to unlock because I really like tank units in general. But if I remember him correctly, I felt like he was underpowered because he couldn't hit anything. I can't look at the screen. You know what? That would be one thing nice to have, would be just to be able to pull up the details from here, to look at the passives and the levels. That'd be nice. Maybe I can, I just don't know how. There's a few units like that. I know people have given you lots of feedback on the summons already, because certain summons feel way better than other summons, and because they are elementals, I mean when I say summons, elementals. And because you don't have a lot of control over which one, I actually, like, I know a lot of people don't like the wind elemental, and I agree for the most part, but I actually had a great run with it, and that was when we were trying to do the Be Brave and have all 5 mini-bosses, or all 4 mini-bosses. The wind elemental was pushing back the mini-bosses and very efficiently, so I actually had a great time with the wind elemental pushing them back. But that was like the only time I've had any luck with them. I guess I don't really have questions. I'm just giving you feedback while I've got it here. Units that I think are a lot of fun. I think the mushroom is fun because it spreads that poison around. I think the leech mother is fun because it gets to spawn extra leeches whenever a damage happens. Like I think those sorts of things that let you feel overpowered are really cool. When you have certain things that like have a domino effect. So there's a lot going on like that. Somebody earlier today was talking about having more relics that would kind of play to that, where it does a domino effect or completely changes abilities and things. Our conclusion to that though was the game's early access. You're focused on balance right now, not new content, and so more relics and all of that, if it all comes, it'll come in time. But as far as balancing with what we have here, don't hurt the dino is, I guess, the big one I want to say. He is our favorite. So whatever you do, don't hurt the dino, please. He's always a favorite. Didn't keep it that way? Well, wonderful. Wonderful. The difficulty is getting, rather than making the dino not feel fun, because he is fun, the difficulty is making all the tanks feel that fun, or all the units in their own way feel that fun. Because I love watching the dino just sweep across the board, pushing everything out of the way, and then shooting lasers. Like, that's over the top fun. But then I get, you know, like we were talking about with the Colossus, it was underwhelming instead. And I don't even think I've gotten the final upgrade, so maybe I'm not giving it a fair shake here. Let's hope you succeed. Yeah, well, we absolutely hope you succeed, but I do think you're doing an amazing job. So this isn't like make everyone happy or you fail. Like, you're not going to get everyone happy. This is you've already succeeded. It's already amazing. We're just so excited, and we just like to have more and more of it. Like, you'll never make everyone completely happy, but it's already great. Oh, and having the marksman be able to pierce would be fun. There's some other... The piercing item, it's confusing as to which range units it can work on and which ones it can't. There's been several times where I was surprised, I was surprised it works with the vampire, and then expected it to work on things like the clown or the marksman, and it didn't work. So there was certain expectations that as a player I had about Pierce, maybe just from other games, bringing that into this, but I felt like Pierce was a confusing stat because it doesn't work on some. And then if I were to ask one other thing, it would be, where can I pull up the stats? Can't we pull up the? Let me just go into a game real quick, because I know you have like the things here. Oh, it's not here. A
warrior's true glory is to die in battle.
It's not this. It's an equipment. I'm sorry. This item. The area. I keep wondering this. So it increases the stat that has the two arrows, like the double-sided arrow here, by 15%. I just remembered, but I've been desperately wondering this for a long time now. It increases that stat by 15%. Any unit that happens to have that stat, it goes up by 15%. That makes sense to me. But there's a lot of units that can equip this that don't have that stat, and no relevant number increases on them. Say like the monk, he says like a 30-meter radius or something. He doesn't have the area icon of the two arrows, but he does have a radius, and this says it increases that icon, but it's named area, so I'm inclined to think it's going to increase the monk's area, and he can equip it. But I have no visual way to know that he increased the radius. And so, does it increase it? Does it not? Like, I've been wondering about this. So a lot of times I'll be putting it on a less useful unit, but that does have the icon. Like, for example, the genie has the icon here, and I don't even know what area the genie's getting, but the number goes up. You just manually set the right value for each ability. So, but it does, so if the unit can equip it, it does increase their area, I guess, is even though we're not seeing it on the unit screen. As long as it lets it equip, it should work. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sure you'll get to the point where it'll reflect the stats on that, like the radius number will change when if it can equip it, it can work, then yes, thank you. Okay, I'll let you go. I'm sorry. That was one that's been bothering me for a while. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate having you. Does duration work on Wind Elemental? That's a good question. I don't know. But because elementals are you can't always equip them. You have to have a special relic. So I don't know if they're always going to have the same interaction that you'd expect either. So maybe we'll be able to have these conversations. Some people suggesting stream. Well, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it has been a blast. I'm really glad you stopped by. Would love to hear more about the history. I know you said it was a long story, and maybe next time you can share us a little bit more about the journey, because I'm sure there's ups and downs and doubts and victories and triumphs and disasters. And 4 years is a long time to be working on something and not know how it's going to end up. So I'm glad you took the risk. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for your amazing game. And I wish you all the success. Awesome. Thank you. All right, now we need to try again.